Hello everyone, so welcome back. In this video I'm going to quickly start out by showing you a couple of the built-in functions that Python just comes with. So remember, one of the points or one of the most important concepts of programming is this ability that when you built up your own complex instructions, which we've been calling functions, so when you build up your own functions, you can actually upload them to other places so that people can use them. And likewise, you can use other people's code in your code. So we already looked at the len function, right? So the len function takes as input a string. So first we'll define a string that simply says hello, and then we're gonna do len of that string. And the len function tells us how many characters are in that string, so that's 5. Now I'm gonna show you another function called input. This function basically it presents something to the user. So I'm going to say name followed by a colon. So it presents whatever you pass in as an argument to it. It presents that to the user, and then it waits until the user types something in, and it stores that return, and basically it returns whatever the user typed in. So we're going to take what it returns and put it in a variable called b. So once again, the input function, first of all, you pass it one argument, right? It basically shows that argument to the user. So here we're just showing the string name. And then it waits for the user to type something. When the user is done typing something, when they press enter, it then returns that. So whatever that return is then gets assigned to the variable b, which is what always happens, right? Whatever the result of an operation is, it always gets assigned to whatever's on the left-hand side of the equal sign, which is variables. Okay, so let's see what this does. You see, it writes whatever we passed as the first argument, and then it waits for us to type something. You can tell by the blinking cursor that it's waiting. So I'm going to type in Abdullah, and then there we go. We're back into the idly. We know that because of the 3 little symbols here. I don't know what those are. 3 little arrows. Okay, so let's type in b. In other words, let's see what the value of the variable b is. And it's the string Abdullah. Another function I want to tell you about is a function that lets you generate random numbers. So in Python and most other languages, there's this concept of packages, where a package, or sometimes called a module, is basically a grouping of related functions. You can think of it as like that. So there's a package, or in other words, a group of functions in Python called random, and this has a bunch of functions that somehow relate to randomness. Okay, so if you want to use a package or the functionality of a package, one way to do that in Python is by importing the package, and this is the syntax for doing that. So we're going to do import random, and now Python lets us use all the functions defined in the package random. One of the functions is called, and see, when you do random dot, and then this little pop-up thing comes up, and it shows you all the functions that are inside the random package. So we're going to do random.randint, and if you didn't know what this function did, you could just Google it. You could just Google Python random.randint function, and it'll show you what the function does and what its arguments and everything are. Let's just do that really quickly, just so you can see. Let's say I didn't know what this function did. I would just do Python random.randint, right? It's usually like the first couple of links. Let's search for randint. Here we go. See, random.randint, a and b, so it takes 2 arguments, and it returns a random integer such that it's between a and b. Good enough. That's how you find out what these functions do. So we want to get a random number between 2 to 10, for example, and we want to store the results of that in a variable called c. That's what the randint function do. There are a lot more packages, both ones that come with Python when you install Python. So for example, this random package came with the Python installation already, but there's also packages that people have uploaded to the internet that you can download and import those as well. So it's important to know that, because this is demonstrating the fact that you share your complex instructions with others. You use theirs and you share yours. Another function I want to show you is the print function. It's very simple. It simply prints the string its argument. It simply prints its argument to the output. So let's see. We're going to print whatever is in A. And the variable A, of course, it points to the string hello. So it printed hello. Okay. Okay, now I want to get to a really critical part of programming. We've learned how to create our own big complex instructions using the built-in functions, downloaded functions, and the basic operations that the computer just knows how to do. We've learned how to create our own functions, in other words. But now, how do we combine them? What's an example of combining them in various ways to keep on building, you know? So I'll show you a little cool example of that. Okay, so now we're going to create a function that will simply print a bunch of equal signs. And I already tried it here, but I made a little mistake, so I'll redo it. Define print row, that's what we're going to call it. It takes one argument. We're going to call that argument n rows, and it's going to basically print that many equal signs. So the number of whatever the value of n rows is, it's going to print that many equal signs. So for I in range, and remember, this is just syntax for how to repeat yourself, right? It's not a big deal if you don't remember this. All we want to do is we want to print an equal sign, and this is again kind of syntax, but you don't have to worry about it. But I'm basically saying don't put a new line, because normally the print function automatically adds a new line. It goes to the next line, but I don't want to do that because I want these equal signs to be in a row. If you don't get that, don't worry, it's not a big deal. So all we're doing is this function takes a number and it will print that many equal signs in a row. We've defined it, so now let's test it out. Print row, let's print 3 equal signs. See, there we go, it printed 3 equal signs. Now let's go ahead and create another function that will basically print 2 characters that are separated by a bunch of characters. So I'll just show you the function, it's easier. So we're going to do print column. It will take ncall. It will take one argument. We're going to call it ncall, and basically that many times we're gonna print spaces. Okay, so this function is just going to print spaces, doing the same thing as before. We don't want to put a new line. So this function, I wanted to basically print something like this, right? Like I wanted to create one of these pipe characters and then a few spaces and then another one of these pipe characters. That's basically my plan. So it will, first of all, we'll have it print the pipe character. And we don't want to go to a new line. And then we will print as many spaces as is over there, but we want to subtract 2. We want to, because we're using 2 of the characters at the end for pipes, so we want to put 2 less spaces, okay? And then after we put the spaces, we want to print another pipe character. And when you see this function, you'll get what it was supposed to do. So now let's go ahead and test it out. Print call, we'll do 3. Yeah. Okay. So now I want to combine these functions, right? Because I have a way to print this row and I have a way to print this column. Now I'm thinking, what if I print a row, I print a column, and then I print a row? Isn't that going to kind of make a little box? So let's create another function called makeBox, right? And what is this function going to do? Well, it's going to use my previously created functions. So we'll do print row, we'll do 3, and then print column 3 and print row 3. Let's go ahead and call our makeBox function. And oh, we got a little bug. So it did print the 3, it printed the row, and then it printed the column, and then it printed this. So as you can see, we probably want a new line after printing the 3 equal signs and after printing this. So we will modify our functions up there, and I'll just basically redefine it. So when you redefine a function like this in Python, it basically ignores the one above it. So we're going to do print row. And after print row, we're going to print a new line, basically. And then we're going to do print column. And then we're going to print a new line. And we're going to print row again. And let's see, I think this will do it. But let's test it out. This is part of programming, testing it out. Okay, we got an error. One argument, number of rows. Oh, I messed up. Okay, I'm going to redo this one last time. Okay, so as you can see, I'm redefining the makeBox function, and I forgot a 3 over here. So the makeBox function calls our previously created print row and print column functions. So this is composition. We're kind of building up in layers. And in between them, it puts a new line, so that our goal is to basically create a box looking thing. Make box. And there we go. Voila. So the reason why I kind of left all this stuff, all my mistakes here, is not because I'm lazy. I can easily re-record this. But, you know, that is part of programming. That's the reality. You're going to make mistakes, and it's important to be able to correct them. So what I basically demonstrated here is one of the most important, and I think one of the funnest concepts of programming. That's composition, right? That's what I've been talking about this whole entire series, with my analogy of using the basic instructions that the computer comes with to create bigger and more complex instructions and keep on building upon that. So what we did here was, using the basic instructions that the computer came with, we built a couple of functions, right? Like the print row and the print column function. And then using our own functions, we created a yet even more complex function that is able to make a box. And now, just to hammer the point really home, let's you know, redefine this function, but let's make it so that the user can determine, the user can choose the size of the box. So we're going to we'll have the user pass in a number called box size. We're going to call it box size. And basically we'll do print row. Instead of just 3 characters, we'll do the number of characters in this box size variable, right? So print row, print a new line, print the column, print a new line, and print row. And now let's see if this one works. Make box. We're going to make the box size 3. This should be just like before. Okay, now let's go ahead and make a box of size 10. There we go. It's a much longer box, as you can see. And we can, if we wanted to, we can even get more complex by making a new function called, you know, make rectangular box or something, that also lets you determine how tall the box is. And I'll leave that as a quiz for you guys. Why don't you make a function that lets you not just decide how long the box is, because that's what we did here with the box size, but also the second argument should determine how tall the box is. So hint, all you would have to do is keep on inserting more of these columns, and we have a make column function. So you just call that make column function more times. But I'll leave that as a quiz for you guys. Okay guys, time for a quick recap. So in this video, I basically demonstrated one of the core concepts of programming, composition. This is what I've been talking about when I mentioned the idea of, you know, constantly using the basic instructions that the computer comes with to create your own bigger and bigger instructions. As you can see, we did that on 2 levels. First, we created our own functions, and then we used our own functions to create yet another of our own functions that's even bigger. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'm just going to tie everything together by doing one little final project, and of course that's going to be a little game. It's going to be very easy to make, and it'll show you how fun programming really can be. And we're going to tie everything together. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.